world from love. I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibaneh, olam chesed yibaneh, yadalai, olam chesed yibaneh, and just a little bit higher. Olam chesed yibaneh, olam chesed
I don't know about you, but I need Shabbat. I am super happy that Shabbat is here. There were actual applause for that if you're watching online. I don't know, some weeks I just desperately need Shabbat, and this is one of those weeks. And the trick is being ready to meet Shabbat. We have this service at the beginning of our service called Kabbalat Shabbat, receiving Shabbat, and in many ways it is about preparing ourselves, breathing, slowing down, stopping, disconnecting, turning off our cell phones, and making ourselves ready to be present for the gift that is Shabbat, for that weekly blessing that is breath, that is possibility, that is renewal and restoration. It is good to be with you on Shabbat. It is good to be with you if you are in person. It is good to be with you if you are online. If you are joining us online, I hope you've taken a chance to say hello in the chat so we know who's with us. We are going to continue our Shabbat service this evening with the lighting of Shabbat candles, and we invite up Betty Babinger to light candles this Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
So we turn to page 12. We begin to welcome Shabbat with psalms.
And these words are, "Come, let us sing." And I believe this is Rabbi Fixler's first time back since we've been able to sing together. And your harmonies really are sounding lovely.
I've been practicing for 15 months, all by myself in my room.
And so we sing Lechu Neranana, and every time I've been singing Lai Lai Lai, which that happens a lot, I've just felt like it was, a shanda to sing Lai 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 when people couldn't sing Lai 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 with me. And so here we go. Now we can do it together. Continue welcoming Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 20. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela la la. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el ha'meichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'niti la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'beracha, Merosh v'kedem mesucha, Sof ha'aseh b'machshava tchila la 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 la. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Ki va'orech u'mi'ori, uri when you hear the words Lecha Dodi, it is time to turn back around. And so we welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, nam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segola, boi chala, boi chala, la 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 la, lecha dodi, likrat gala, penei penei shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi, likrat gala, penei penei shabbat nikabela, penei penei shabbat nikabela, penei penei shabbat nikabela.
We remain standing as we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu. Pray with me a prayer for the evening at the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uv'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu li'olam.
Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Page 36. And you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and on your gates, and on your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Cantor and I, as we were planning this service, were talking about what is the mood, what is the thing that is on everyone's mind as we enter into this 4th of July weekend. And we were thinking about freedom, and we were thinking about what a blessing it is to have freedom, what a necessity it is to have freedom. And I was thinking about Mi Chamocha, this prayer that comes up next, which is our freedom song, the celebration that the Israelites threw as they reached the far shores of the sea. They sang and they danced and they celebrated their freedom. And what was beautiful about that celebration, and what is beautiful about this celebration tonight, was that it wasn't one freedom song, but many freedom songs, each person singing their own melody, but the same words, each person finding their own new voice in freedom. And so as we prepare for Mi Chamocha tonight, I wanted to share with you a poem called I Hear America Singing by Walt Whitman. I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear, those of mechanics, each one singing his as it should be blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench, the hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song, the plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown. The delicious singing of the mother, of the young wife at work or the girl sewing or washing, each singing what belongs to him or her and to none else. The day, what belongs to the day. At night, the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious song. We sing with open mouths our song of freedom, Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. And the river is white, and the river is white, and the river is deep, and the river is deep, and the river is standing between you and me, and freedom, but we shall overcome one day. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. And the river is fear, and the river is fear, and the river is hate, and the river is hate, and the river is standing between us and the gates of freedom, but we shall overcome one day. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. And the river divides, and the river divides, and the river forgives, and the river forgives, and the river's a wall, and the river's a bridge to freedom, but we shall overcome one freedom, but we shall overcome one day. Yes, oh, we shall overcome one day.
We continue now with our Hashkivenu prayer, a prayer for protection through the night, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, Shivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim L'chaim, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, V'tagneinu B'Yitzat Tova Milfanecha, V'hoshienu Leman Shemecha.
Freedom is getting to choose when you stand up. Freedom is not a lack of obligation to stand up, but freedom is the choice of when. Freedom is getting to choose what you stand for. So as we come to the Amidah, which is Hebrew for the standing prayer, knowing that some of us stand with our bodies and some of us stand in our souls, what I want to encourage you to do is to appreciate the freedom of getting to choose when to stand up. We're going to sing this melody of Adonai Sfatai Tiftach a couple of times, and you don't have to stand up right at the beginning. Stand up when you're ready. Stand up when you feel so moved. Stand up when you have something you need to say to God. Stand up in your body. Stand up in your spirit. We continue with the Amidah, which begins on page 46. We stand when we're ready.
Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot,
ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We continue together at the top of page 59. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We continue with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim. We continue now with a moment for silent prayer. So nimrei fi
must be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, my rock, my rock, my rock, and my Redeemer.
We turn now to a prayer for healing. Healing of body, yes, but also healing of spirits. Knowing how much brokenness is in the world and in our hearts and in our community. We think of those struggling with chronic pain and chronic illness, the hurts that we see and the hurts that we can never know. We think of those struggling with addiction and those in recovery. We think of those near to us and those far away. In our community, we are praying for healing for Bradley Borden, Michelle Brown, Melba Berman, Miles Cohn, Richard Dana, Edward Feldman, Richard Garber, Emily Goodfriend, Richard Jackson, Sarah James, Barry Kaufman, Paul Lezovic, Lawrence Levy, David Livitz, Todd Nelkin, Sam Peters, Elaine Plotkin, Nicole Roberts Pope, Jean Samuels, Stephen Schnitzer, Jack Selber, Edward Simmons, Linda Colby Stein, Mervat Tadrose, Marcia Tushita, Roger Williams, Miranda Wolf, Nate Wolf, Yvonne Zients, Chana Sura, Daniel Zev ben Zachariah HaKohen V'Miriam, Dov ben Batya, Gelka Nechama bat Leba Chaya, and Leah Fruma, and all those who are suffering with physical illness, emotional distress and pain, and those battling COVID-19. We offer these words of healing and hope, page 253.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We have a couple of joyous blessings this Shabbat. We already saw Betty a little earlier lighting the candles. Betty Babinger, will you stand up? Betty is celebrating her 70th birthday, and we are so excited for you. Betty was a kindergarten teacher for 31 years, is that correct? Who inspired young people with joy, who inspired young people to learn and grow. And so our blessing for you on this birthday is that you experience in this year lots of joy, that you experience in this year lots of learning and lots of growth, that you are able to be reunited with friends and family and community. We hope that this is a celebratory year, and we wish you a mazel tov. So we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Mazel tov. Happy birthday. And we have a twofer. In the Askenaz family, we are celebrating a birthday and an anniversary. So if you will both stand up. David is celebrating his 85th birthday, and David and Susie are celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary. This is the only time those two things are going to be flipped, right? 85, 58, which is quite incredible. I know that you have had a difficult year. I know that you have had a year of struggle and challenge. And I know that that must make reaching this birthday and this milestone even sweeter and even more joyous. And my hope for you is that you continue to feel the love that you two share. You have seen in this year so much support that you are able to offer each other, so much strength that you are able to draw from each other. We are grateful for the years of life that have allowed you to have all these years of love together. And so we want to wish you a joyous and happy birthday, a joyous and happy anniversary, and many, many more. And we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Mazel tov. You may kiss the bride. Amazing. A few brief announcements for this Shabbat. The Brotherhood Garage Sale is coming up and pickups are underway. Interested in volunteering or have items to donate, you should let the Brotherhood know, and you can find information on how to do that on our website. As part of our ongoing reopening efforts, the Shabbat morning Proler Chapel service will return in person on Saturday, July 10th, this not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. If you have never joined us for this intimate, meaningful, lively service, we hope that you will join us. It will be easy to social distance. It's going to be really fun to be back in person, so we hope that you will come. Emmanuel will host the first of two community Shabbat dinners on Friday, July 16th. Barbecue is on the menu. The cost is just $5, and we ask that you RSVP by Wednesday, July 14th. And lastly, a reminder as we move ahead in our regathering process, those who are vaccinated can choose not to wear a mask for in-person worship and events in our building. Additionally, registration is no longer required and congregational singing is allowed. For those who have grown accustomed to watching remotely, our Friday night worship will continue to be accessible in all the ways you've been connecting with us. Any additional updates will continue to be shared with the congregation. I thought so.
Okay.
All right.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This is what I stand here for.
there is no statue of the daughters of Zelophehad, but there should be. They did something that nobody had ever done before. They convinced God to change God's mind, to amend an unjust law. Even Moses couldn't do that. So where is their statue? Where is their song? Where is their Chagall painting? In this week's Parsha, we read the tale of Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, whose father, Zelophehad, had died without any male heirs. God's law stated that these sisters would not inherit any of their father's land, and that their family name would end with him. The sisters could not abide this injustice. The Torah leaves no doubt as to the power of this act. The verbs it uses are verbs of confidence, unity, and clarity of purpose. Tikrevna, the story begins as they drew close. They walked right up to Moses and Eleazar and the other male chieftains. Ta'amodna, they stood up to power. They stood up for themselves, for each other. Ya'amod, they spoke truth to that power. Our father was not amongst the rebels. He died for his own sin. Let our father's name not be lost just because he had no sons. Give us a holding amongst our kinsmen. Moses did not know how to proceed. How could he change what God had written? So he does what any responsible administrator does. He goes and gets the manager. He takes their case to God, and God does not hesitate. The plea of Zelophehad's daughter is just, God says. Give them their father's portion. In fact, God does not just make an exception, God changes the law. Starting from then on, if a father had no sons, the inheritance would go to his daughters, and if he had no daughters, then to his next closest relative. For all time, the law was amended because the daughters of Zelophehad stood up. They drew near, they spoke. Has there ever been a more radical act? To point out to God an injustice in God's own law, to hold God accountable to God's promise to be fair and just. What made them think that they would not be killed when they drew near to the center of power? What gave them this certainty and courage? A midrash imagines that the daughters had heard that in the promised land into which they were about to enter, it was going to be apportioned among all the males of the tribes. They said to each other, "The compassion of God is not like human compassion. Human rulers are more concerned with males than females, but the one who spoke and brought the world into being is not like that. Rather, God shows mercy to every living thing." It's pretty progressive for a text written in the 3rd century of the Common Era. The Midrash imagines that the daughters were intuiting that the iniquities they saw around them were not written into the fabric of creation, but that God favored equality and would hear their call for justice. Perhaps God was even waiting for them to speak up. Perhaps God relished the opportunity to be challenged by God's greatest creation to live up to God's highest ideal. Perhaps God smiled as God took out the red pen to edit the law and make it more fair. This most powerful, most radical, most beloved act, and yet the story of the daughters of Zelophehad too often remains hidden, a footnote in the text where it should have its own chapter all to itself. There is no statue to Ernestine Rose either, though she is the spiritual great-great-great-great-granddaughter of Zelophehad's daughters. She was born in Poland in 1810, the daughter of a rabbi. She was sent to Cheder, a religious school, for her elementary years, but when she started asking questions that her teachers saw as too radical or unbecoming of a girl, her father decided he should educate her at home. He taught her Torah as he would have taught a son, though he too discouraged her critical questioning. Ernestine's mother died when she was 15 and left her an inheritance. Her father arranged a marriage for her to a man she did not wish to marry, and that arrangement was that he would get her inheritance whether she went through with it or not. So she snuck off to the community court, and she sued her father to get out of the engagement and to keep her inheritance, and she won. Things at home were tense after that, especially when her father married a young woman about her age, so Ernestine decided it was time to leave. She went to Berlin, where she was exposed to secular modern writing and Enlightenment principles of equality. She made her way to England, where she fell in with a group of social reformers led by Robert Owen. They believed in a radical equality between the sexes, and it was here that she first began to speak publicly on issues of women's suffrage and workers' rights. She sailed for America in 1836, where she quickly became an activist. She went around New York knocking on doors, organizing people to fight for women's property rights, a cause that would have made her forebears, Zelophehad's daughters, proud. After 12 years of activism in 1848, New York State passed the first married women's property law in the United States, and other states followed. Ernestine had become a leader of the American suffrage movement, as well as a vocal abolitionist. Echoing the Midrash, she wrote, "Emancipation from every kind of bondage is my principle. I go for recognition of human rights without distinction of sect, party, sex, or color." Susan B. Anthony had a photograph of Ernestine on her study wall. She was a celebrated public speaker who became known as the Queen of the Platform for her rousing and inspiring speeches. Her life was not without challenges. She had a good friend named Horace Seaver, who was the editor of the free thought newspaper, the Boston Investigator, which frequently published her speeches and writing. Free thinkers routinely denounced the ancient Hebrews, whom they believed created religious bigotry. But when the Civil War broke out, Seaver wrote condemning contemporary American Jews and calling for them to be expelled from the United States. "I thought I smelled brimstone, genuine Christian brimstone, when reading that piece," Rose wrote to Seaver, and she stopped submitting to the paper. Ernestine had given birth twice and lost both children as babies, so she had no heirs. She died in 1892, and her funeral was attended by friends, and many came to honor her at her memorial. Tributes flowed in from all over the world. One American feminist of the next generation wrote, "The liberal laws which we now live under are due to the tireless exertions of this gifted woman, and never ought the women of New York to forget the debt of gratitude they owe to Ernestine L. Rose." But they did forget. Though she had been the best female orator of her age, she was rarely mentioned in the history books. An article in the Jewish Forward in 1927 declared that few had ever heard of her. It was not until the 1970s that women's and black history movements started to reclaim her story. What gave her the courage to stand up to her father, to the government of the United States, to the patriarchy, to anti-Semitism? Perhaps she had a sense that the same divine promise that Zelophehad's daughters understood, the promise of equality under God, was her inheritance too. Perhaps she saw in America the unfulfilled potential of that promise, the words written but not yet realized that all people are created equal. And there was no statue in New York Harbor when Ernestine Rose arrived in America. That statue would come later, in 1886. Another woman standing up with broken chains at her feet, Lady Liberty, a symbol to all who arrived on our shores that hope and that promise and that possibility. At her base is a poem written by another female activist, Emma Lazarus. It is entitled New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Lady Liberty stands with her light held high, a beacon and reminder not of who we are, but who we could be, who we hope to be. She is a lighthouse guiding us in and keeping us away from the rocky shoal. At the unveiling ceremony of the statue, the final speaker was Chauncey M. Depew, president of the New York Central and Hudson River Railroad and future senator. He spoke of the abolition of privileges to the few and the enfranchisement of the individual, the equality of all men before the law and universal suffrage, the ballot secure from fraud and the voter from intimidation, the press free and education furnished by the state for all, liberty of worship and free speech, the right to rise and equal opportunity for honor and fortune. We are still working to achieve those dreams. And Lady Liberty is still standing tall to remind us her ideals. These are just some of the mothers of exile, the voices of the downtrodden, of the dreams deferred but not diminished. Lady Liberty with her torch, Emma Lazarus with her pen, Ernestine Rose with her platform, the daughters of Zelophehad with nothing but a just cause and the courage to speak. And above them, inspiring them, is God, the original mother of exiles, the parent of all people, the voice so committed to justice that she will laugh with delight when her children call her attention to her own failures of justice. Ernestine Rose wrote, "Agitate, agitate ought to be the motto of every reformer. Agitation is the opposite of stagnation. The one is life, the other is death." This is the motto of the mothers of exiles. Not complacency, but productive agitation towards the world we were promised, towards the country we were promised. The daughters of Zelophehad agitated because they knew God to be fair, even though the world around them was not yet fair. Ernestine Rose agitated because she believed in equality, even though the world around her was not yet equal. Lady Liberty opens her door to the tempest-tossed, even if they are not always welcomed like they should be. All of them, all these mothers of exiles, remind us both of the promise and our power to fulfill it. May we be prophets of a brighter future like Malcha, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah, like Ernestine and Emma, like Lady Liberty herself. May we be agitators like these mothers of exiles as we work to give birth to the world we were promised.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Remember what
We continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach, which is found in the middle of the page on page 282, and invite you please to rise as you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו 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 אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, life and death. We take a moment now for silent memory. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Our hearts go out in sympathy to the family of William N. Rhodey, who was laid to rest in recent days. We also recall the art sites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Harry Altshuler, Louis Ashe, Peggy Ashe, Dave J. Bagelman, Max Bamberger, George Jacob Baum, Julius Berend, Abe Bearcut, Lenore Berman, Mitchell Boniak, Bertha Brook, Davna Blumbrook, Richard Brown, Anna Kaplan, Burton Chazen, Matvey Churches, Lillian Dolgoff, Harris Drew Feder, Isaac Felt, Marilyn Fenberg, Glenda Forrest, Sidney Frank, Hoda Friedman, Israel Izzy Fudman, Sophia Futer, Eleanor Gaiman, Elizabeth Weiss Gelber, George Gibson, Margaret Goldshine, Edwin Goldstucker, Hy Goodman, Shirley Goodman, Julius B. Gordon, Stanley Grayboys, Minnie Green, Herman Gressick, Mildred Guggenheim, Goldie Helfant, Samuel J. Helfman, Henry Jacob Horowitz, Mayor Isger, Eleanor Israel, Sarah Lee Jacobs, Maurice K. Jessel, Harold Sidney Joachim, Leonard Kalish, Louis Kaminsky, Lois Kaplan, Milton Karp, Martin M. Katz, Adrian M. Keller, Mose Nathan Kraftcheck, Rose Krakauer, Ernest Krautkopf, Abe Lavis, Samuel Lesberg, Sidney Leventhal, Charles Martin Levitt, Ida Levitt, Evelyn Levy, Naaman Lipinski, Charles S. Littman, Joseph Livingston, Charlotte Shaler Lynch, Michael Marcus, Donald Joe Merrill, Irving Moser, Mark Motley, Charlotte Nemiroff, Faye Paul, Jack Robert Pelham, Shella Prizant Plastrick, Edward J. Pulaski, Lottie Regan, Elida G. Rodriguez, Marvin Ross, Douglas Ross, Sylvia Schreiber, Stuart Shuby, Todd M. Schwartz, Alan Tevis Siegel, Florence Tilly Shapiro, Sarah Ann Shosid, Carol Fagelson Siegel, David Silverman, Arthur Maxwell Simmons, Bertha Singerman, Melva Davis Smolinski, Richard Solar, Dorothy Sussman, John L. Tabor, Morris Tankel, Curtis Elliott Totter, Robert Travis, Taishi Tushita, Carol Waldman, Morton Wax, Carl Wheel, Rose S. Weiser, Julian Buddy Wilkenfeld. With all of their names on our hearts, we turn now to the words of Mortar's Kaddish, page 294, and rise together as one community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei v'al michma chutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam omea maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitkomam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal shmei dikudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'ne'emata dami rambea ma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. We move now to our Kiddush and Motzi, page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikraei kodesh, zeicher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We close this evening with a patriotic melody by Irving Berlin, page 376. Although these first words aren't in there. While the
Mother of exiles, help us to know when to stand up. Help us to stand up for justice. Help us to stand up for equality. Help us to stand up so that we might be your partners in fulfilling the promise of creation. Help us to keep the song of freedom on our lips, and help us to share that song with others. We are grateful for the many blessings in our lives, and we say together, Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.